What are the other valid reasons for building, so close? What's something about you that people wouldn't guess? What's lighting you up right now that you're working on? What's your trophy and the end of the forest for? What is the most expensive lesson? What's one capital truth that you live? Here we come again with another episode, the capital truths, the untold stories of those who found the future. Guys, I got someone which I'm super duper excited about, the one and only Ben Julius. Not only I can call him my friend, not only he literally lives like 20 minutes away from my house, so he is in the neck of my woods, and at the same time he's a master coach. He used to coach athletes as well, and guess what, he is in real estate. So Ben, thank you so much for being here, for doing this. I know you are really busy with whatever you do, and it's really hard to find a time. So thank you for being here, man.
John, when you asked me to come on, I wouldn't have missed it for the world. So we were able to get the schedules working, and I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm really excited to be here. So thank you for that.
Thank you, my brother. So let's get to it. So how do you usually introduce yourself?
I kind of leave the formalities of it, and I just kind of introduce myself as Ben Julius, real estate developer, and it's kind of how we rock and roll. Lifelong coach. Yeah.
And so, a real estate developer, it's one of my dreams to actually become one, and kind of climbing through the ranks. How did you get into that seat, and how long it took you?
I got into it very kind of organically, and it's a tough world, man. I can tell you right now that we live by the principle of survive and advance. Every day is a different struggle. A lot of it has to do with financing. In the market that we're in, there's not a lot of people who are giving money on land and opportunities to develop. So, we're fortunate in Canada that we have the CMHC government backing program that we're actually working through right now in one of the developments. So it makes it a little bit easier, but every day is a challenge. And I got into it. I started off kind of small, and we got into it through an assembly, which we picked up. I picked up one piece of land we were just going to turn a dilapidated building into 13 units. And then we were going to kind of move that forward, and then we picked up another piece of property that was right next to it. And then the pieces in the middle, and then another property. And then before you know it, we had a full on 150 unit building that we were looking at doing condo development at the time, but now we've kind of shifted to multifamily development, as that's kind of where the security is in our market.
So I love it. So you are Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm not going to make the jokes, with the 51st state and all of that. Like we've done that. There's a lot of opinions kind of circling around that,
Sure.
But how different the market is, comparing it to the American market for real estate developers.
It's tough, man. Like, I think that there's areas in the U.S. that are definitely developer friendly, like Texas, Florida, a lot of the Sun Belt, the Carolinas, for example, basically anywhere that is a red state is kind of like a friendly development. I think that we would have to say that in Canada, with the exception of Alberta and maybe Saskatchewan, is very similar to New York, where you can get closer to Manhattan, where that's kind of where our acquisition prices are for land, and the timing of approvals is probably relatively the same. People, I have conversations with developers in the South, and they're like, yeah, we have approvals and permits and shovel ready within a year, and for us, where our approvals are 3 to 4 years, and we're shovel ready after 5 years, right? So you got to be, and those are things I didn't realize when we were getting into it. We were told differently, and when we first got into development, my team and I, we were told that it was going to be 8 to 12 months to approval. Okay, we can manage that, no problem. You get the approval, you refinance the land, you maybe flip it to a different buyer. But we end up getting caught in COVID, and COVID really blew everything up for us in terms of all the developments, all the processes. And then after COVID happened, a year after COVID, we got out of COVID, we had the interest rate hikes, which put a freeze on a lot of different things. And then in our municipality, we had a cyber attack, which really held a lot of different things, and still difficulties navigating that. Our municipality that we're working with has had to rebuild their whole system. So we're still working through the kinks with that, and makes things a little bit difficult. So I would say that we're very similar to, New York, Manhattan region, north of the city, in terms of from that regard, and it makes things difficult. But if you can survive and get through those, I think that the profit's there at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, you guys hit COVID. I mean, which rest of the world hit COVID as well. Some of them, they kind of came back a lot faster. Some states, they didn't close down at all. Like Florida, they're like screw it, we're gonna keep things open, right? Texas, I think, was one of them too, and I think it maybe hurt them in the long run. The recovery in those states was a lot harder and a lot longer. And then you said you guys had the cyber attack. So this is pretty much like the worst deal, the worst case scenario. Like literally you could wish for, right? Yeah,
like you want to throw another wrench into it. We had a building that had zero historical value that, a citizen in the area ended up appealing to the historical committee to get that building on the historical track, and as a result, it paused our development for close to a year and a half to our approvals, and then we had to redesign the building around that. And then unfortunately, because these buildings sometimes are vacant, that we have a lot of homeless in our area that ended up getting in there and ended up burning the building halfway down. So it ended up being holding the development up for a year and a half for essentially nothing, which is a struggle to kind of get your head around, because the cities, they don't really care about how much money the developers are burning on a daily basis, but it really affects the ability for us to move and go through.
Yeah, are you feeling like after you're gonna wrap up this project, are you gonna do another one? Are you keep on doing what you've been doing and really being successful at it?
Right now it's hard to say, yes, I'm going to continue on with that. But I mean, as you go through this process, you learn so many things, what not to do and what to do that was more efficient. And at the end of the day, everybody still needs a place to live. Like Canada, people aren't leaving Canada, right? There's nowhere to go, right? Like it's not like we can just pick up and move to the United States. It doesn't happen like that, right? So, and we have a lot of immigration still coming in. The new Liberal government, they put a pause on immigration, but they want to open it up. I think the immigration minister has a goal of 100 million people by 2055 or 2060 or something like that, or 2100, whatever it may be. Just an astronomical double in our population. I don't know where they're going to go or where they're going to live. So I think that there's a lot of opportunities in Canada. It's a great country. We are the richest country in the world in terms of natural resources. And at some point, our government's going to capitalize on that, and it's going to become a fantastic country to be in. And as long as we kind of continue with that path and move forward with our governments, then we're good. I think that there's an opportunity there. Like our government just released a new bill, our provincial government, with Bill 17, that really is going to cut the red tape for development in terms of, if it gets through a report, like a professional report, becomes non-combative. So you can't dispute it. What they find, like an ecologist, what they find is what goes, right? So the city can't just say, no, we're going to make you do more, or we're not going to accept that. And so, which is a big thing, because, from our standpoint as a developer, the reports are the paying for the reports are one thing, but it's the timing, how long that they take is another. Like you're not getting a report done in 6 weeks. A lot of them take 3 to 4 months to, gather data, gather the hypothesis, prove the hypothesis, do all these things. So it becomes a bit of a battle. And I think that we're seeing, I think the public is being more aware now of the challenges of building a home. And has nothing to do with the actual labor of building the house. You know, once that process gets completed and you get ready to put a shovel in the ground, whether it's for a duplex, a triplex, a fourplex, a single family home, or a building, you know, they relatively go quick. Like, for example, our actual build rate is going to be 18 to 20 months, whereas our approval to shovel in the ground is going on 5 to 6 years.
And like, I mean, how many units are we talking about? So just the viewers, they can get
like 200
units. Yeah. So it's not a single family, which takes, you know, 18 to 24 months. It's 200 apartments.
Well, it's 200 apartments. Like the single family would take, I don't know, 3 to 4 months to build. But it would still take a mass amount of time to get approvals and a shovel in the ground, right? So, you know, somebody's doing a subdivision, you're taking 3 to 5 years to get a shovel in the ground.
And you know, I'm curious to see, you know, with the reports and research and an analysis, which it takes a few months to let them come through, right? How does AI plays a role in it, and is it going to play a huge role in it? Because we know, like, you can get shit done with AI literally within seconds.
I think it's not. I don't think we're there yet with AI, because you still have to go gather the data. Like, the data isn't out there in the cloud or already out there. The data is coming from your specific property. So you have to do traffic studies. You have to do, you know, wetland studies. You have to do, you know, like flow, like water. No, not the feasibility studies. It will be like AI will be able to do those really quickly. Okay. But it's the other studies. It's the bird migration studies. It's the, you know, the one-eyed salamander studies. It's the endangered species studies that you actually have to go do. It's the archaeology studies and all these things. Which they're talking about removing the archaeology studies, which would be great. That's like a full year process. But yeah, I mean, I think that AI will help gather the data once the data is there, but you still got to go retrieve the data, which right now is the long process, right? Like on our site, we have 7 or 8 drilled wells that are monitoring our water levels and where the water table is at certain times of the year, right? So it's, you know, big time is the spring, a big time is the fall, right? Like, you know, the rainy season, after the thaw, and where's the water table doing that? That affects our building and our foundation and our soil and all those things, right? So those are the things that take a lot of time, and, you know, we're moving forward with those, and hopefully our government starts to kind of take the reports for face value for what they are.
Yeah, and I mean, I know you said in Canada there's going to be so many immigrants coming in the future. We were just walking past one of the houses on our block. It was a beautiful home, single family up here in Oakville. They put it up for $1.99 million, right? It sold in 16 days for $1.960, so almost $2 million. Interesting fact, they bought it in 2007 for $380,000.
I mean, it's directly a supply and demand issue.
Yeah.
Like, and people want good areas, right? And, yes, Canada is such a large country, but 90% of our population lives within 100 kilometers or 90 miles, whatever it is, of the American border. So, our major cities are Vancouver, right next to a border, Toronto, an hour from a border, right? And obviously the outskirts of those two major cities, Montreal, an hour from the border, right? Ottawa's not that far from a border either, right? Like that whole corridor up the St. Lawrence River, is close to a border, and you have even Winnipeg's an hour from a border, right? So we don't have a lot of density in other areas of the country. I think our most densely populated area that's away from the border would be Alberta, and it's
the oil. Is it because of the oil?
Yeah, totally. Okay. Alberta's built on the oil, so.
Mm-hmm. I mean, besides like being close to the Americans and loving us, obviously, and having a good relationship, like what are the other valid reasons for building, so close to the border? Or maybe it's not such a smart idea besides being cold up there.
Well, I think this is where all the industry is, right? Like well, I tell, like, there's been a lot of developers in my network or people trying to get into developing, and they're going to these small towns because the cost of the land and the acquisition is so small, and they can build these things. But at the end of the day, if you don't have jobs, people aren't going to live there, right? So like, it doesn't matter. Like if you're going to try to build a 50-unit building, north of wherever where there's not a lot of industry, who's going to live there?
I mean, there's so many cities in China, they ghost towns, right? They build all these, cities, and nobody lives there because there's no jobs. There's no reason for people to live there.
Exactly. And now listen, I think that there's an argument that's starting that people, work from home and make money online and do all these different things. And yes, there is that argument, but still, like, people like the office buildings, the companies who own office space or lease office space, they're calling people back to the office. So whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 days a week that people can work from home or in the office, and they still got to drive to that office. So they want to be somewhat close to it, right? So yeah.
So that's awesome. I mean, what's something about you that people wouldn't guess at the first glance?
Oh, I'm a softie, right? Like, people think I got a hard, thick skin, and I'm this former college basketball coach for 15 years, and I'm hard on people, but my wife will tell you that I'm emotional, I'm a softie, and I'll do anything for my people in my circle. I'll do anything for, especially my family, my kids. But yeah, like I walk around with a big hard exterior, but in the interior I'm just a soft little teddy bear.
I love that. That's awesome. I didn't know that about you. So that's good to know.
Listen, at the end of the day, I'm a middle child. I grew up with 2 brothers. My older brother was a professional athlete, now he's a professional basketball coach. I will compete until the day I die. I hate losing more than I like to win, right? So that drives me. But at the end of the day, man, I'm a softie.
Well, there's something about it, right? I think being soft or being gentle or being understanding or being someone who truly cares, right? And laughs and is willing to be vulnerable at times, right? Mm-hmm. That's really where the power is, right?
Yeah, totally.
Being tough, there's a reason why people they perceive to be tough on the outskirts, right? Yet inside they really soft, because that softness, that's actually the thing which drives you, which is making you strong.
I couldn't say it better myself, right? And I think as men, sometimes we put out that macho bravado, but at the end of the day, sometimes we just want our kids to hug us, our wife to hug us, because we need that, right? We're portraying something. I'm 44 years old. I'll be 44 this summer. We never, in my lifetime, as a young boy, we were still told to keep our emotions in check, right? Like, you can't cry, girls cry, right? Like, I love my dad to death. He's been very supportive, but I don't remember growing up him telling us how much he loved us. We always knew he did, but we just didn't say those things, right, back then, right? And his dad was a World War II vet and a horse trainer. He was a hard man, right? So, as generational, as you come down the pipe, yes, you start to, as you start to increase the role of vulnerability into the male's life. But at the end of the day, I'm raising my kids the way my dad raised me. I do tell them I love them a lot, but this world is a hard world, and you got to be able to pick your moments to be soft in it and be hard at the same time. So I think what people don't know about me is that I'm a bit of a softie sometimes.
It's awesome, man. What's lighting you up right now that you're working on? What's exciting in your life?
It's really helping other people get through some issues that everybody has, that really kind of keeps me going on a day-to-day basis. I have a group of individuals that I help guide them through some reflection and some different processes, and that really makes me want to be better for them. But also, man, my boys, like my two little boys, 5 and 3 soon, and just being able to spend some time with them and being able to see them grow really makes me happy. And fighting those battles with, man, listen, like seeing somebody else win that I've helped, there's nothing better than that. And I think that's my coaching background. It's that, I always, when I was coaching, is that whenever we lost, it was my fault. Whenever we won, it was my players, right? Like, and it's no different in what I do today. It's that when I see somebody that I'm helping kind of get through some stuff that I've been through, or that I know some people have been through, or pulling experiences through, and just giving them, sometimes an ear to kind of vent, it really makes me feel good. I get out of the call and I got that feeling inside that I'm helping people, and I truly really enjoy that intrinsic release.
No, I can attest to that, because you've been certainly helping me out a lot. By working through certain things, and it's not necessarily tactics or strategies or what you got to do, but just having someone you can talk to and share certain things you actually going through in your life, and realizing like I'm not the only one who goes through it. I can actually do this and do that, and that makes all the difference. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome, John. It's been my pleasure, man, working with you. It's great. It's great to see where you kind of how you're going like this. Sky's the limit for you and your family, brother, and I can't wait to see how successful you become. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I mean, listen, what was the turning point in your life which you feel like it changed the game for you completely?
I think so. That's a good question. I had a moment in 2015 where I was in a really dark place, and I said to myself, I never want to be back in that place. And that was a turning point that for me was like, okay, I need to do whatever I have to do to pull myself out of this, from a personal level, but from an actual professional level, the turning point, I think, was, just realizing that I have something of value to offer to people, that gave me that motivation to be better and do better. And I think that was probably in 2018, when I fully stepped away from the sidelines and into the real estate full time. And I was like, I could do this. And I think it was probably May of 2018 where I was like, okay, we're on our way. Think good things are going to happen. I'm doing this full time. It really works. And then we got into development in 2019. And I've been doing that ever since, for the last 5 years. And it's been hard. It's been up and down. It's been a lot of challenges with the family and the teams and the projects, but we're finding our way through it. And we're really excited to see where this all goes.
So I know you said, there was a point when you felt almost validated, right? And, I think we all special in our own way, through our experiences and capacity and abilities, whatever we have and what we bring to the table. But how important you think it is to just being acknowledged, right? Many times I think something similar, like, me being a coach and me being a broker, and, things, they didn't work out the way I imagined them to work out. And I struggle with it, even though I had all those wins, right? I almost trade that self-doubt in my mind, where I needed to hear from someone like, yes, you can do it. Like, yeah, what you're doing, it is valid. There is a reason for it. Like, keep going.
Yeah, I think it was in 2000, late 2018. I got a phone call from a student that I was kind of working with, or I helped get into real estate, and she was in tears, and she's like, "Thank you for encouraging us and being there and being that sounding board." That really felt good for me, and their life has changed because of it. But also, like, I think it took me a while to understand, like, probably after I had kids, that it's never as good as it seems, and it's never as bad as it seems. So when you understand that and you operate in the middle, you'll be successful. And I think that there's that, and then there's the other aspect of, once I kind of figured that out, that it's going to be okay, then moving through to, it never works out the way you want it to, but it works out the way it's supposed to, is a deeper understanding of working in the middle, and knowing that no matter what happens, you're going to get through it, and you're going to be better because of it. So I'm a big believer that your failures truly are your resume, right? People never put their, well, I failed at this, I failed at that, I failed at this, but I'm still here today, right? So like when I hire people, the question is, I don't want to see what's good on your resume. I want to know what you failed at, right? That's what I want to know, because at the end of the day, anybody can learn anything, and the use of AI today is going to allow people to harness knowledge that they've never harnessed before. So it's a matter of, can you get through the tough times? Can you be resilient in times that are really, really hard, right? Like right now, our business is going through a really difficult situation, and my operation manager is one of my former players, and he's fantastic. Like, he's like, "Ben, I get it. Right now, we're cash flow strapped. I know, get a serving job. Don't worry about me. We're good, right?" I'm like, "Are you serious? Perfect, right?" Like, he's just one of those guys that at the end of the day, I might not have 6 guys carrying my coffin out the funeral, but I'll have one badass motherfucker who's going to pull it out, right? Pardon my language. Sorry.
No, I mean, and that's keeping it real, right? Like, you don't need to have hundreds of people around you, and you're not really deep in it, with them, right? You might as well have fewer, but the ones which you really can lean on and hang on and trust in difficult situations, right? And when everything goes well and everything's working out and there's rainbows and sunshines, like, you got tons of friends, right? But when shit hits the ceiling and things are not working out, like you barely can pay the bills, right? Then you really find out which are the true friends and which are not the friends.
That's right. 100%. Like, and I think that's important, right? Like that you have those people in your corner, because without them, they don't need, and this is where I think that people they struggle to understand that, you can't do this alone, but that doesn't mean go get into partnerships, right? Like, I think people are quick to get into partnerships because they think that that's the only way that they can scale or do it. That's not necessarily true, right? Partnerships are great, but you really need a warrior right beside you. And if you can have a warrior right beside you, then you're going to go far. And I think your best partners is your spouse, right? Like, my wife is a warrior. Listen, do we butt heads? Oh my God, absolutely, right? Like, everybody, if you don't fight with your wife, then I don't think you have a healthy marriage. I'm sorry.
You're not talking to her probably enough.
Exactly. 100%, right? 100%. So, like, my wife is in my corner. She goes through the ups and downs. And like, when I said I'm a softie, I'm an emotional person. So she gets the worst of me and never the best of me sometimes. So like, that's a problem. And I encourage everybody to understand that your spouse is your number one partner in life, and they get the worst of you, right? Because you're comfortable with them. They don't very rarely get the best of you, and that's on you as an individual. You have to understand that you want to give that partnership, because that's the one that's going to allow you to scale. That's what is going to cultivate your confidence in order to do things. And yeah, we can do this. We'll be okay. If shit hits the fan, I got your back. That's your number one, right? And you got to understand that they get the worst of you. And it took me a long time to understand that. And now I'm like, I get it. And I try at some points of the week to make sure that I'm giving my wife the best of me and not just pulling from her, right? So, like when I was coaching, we always called it energy takers or energy givers. And when you vent to your spouse, you become an energy taker and instead of an energy giver. So it's important that you find those times to give energy to your spouse and be in the battlefield with her. She's your number one warrior. He's your number one warrior next to you in that foxhole. So when you understand that they get the worst of you, then you're able to give them the best of you and make that shit work really well.
I love that. And I think rarely we really think about it, because we feel when you're talking to your spouse or your partner, you feel confined. So you could be venting and venting and venting. And on the other hand, I also feel, you also gotta take too, meaning like you gotta vent as well, because when you just give, then that becomes draining, because then you don't feel like you actually have an outlet.
Yeah.
You need to share the bad stuff, to sort of unload the shit somewhere. You know what I mean? And just carrying it all over the place around with you. Ben, looking back, was there a moment when you almost quit?
Every day, man. I think there's a point in time where you wish you had a time machine to go back and change things. But we live in a society where the grass, it always looks greener on the other side. Like, it doesn't matter what you're doing, when you're in the thick of it, the grass always looks greener on the other side. And I'm a big sports guy, corny guy, so I watch a lot of sports movies, sports shows, and one I really resonated with was Ted Lasso, for various reasons. One, is hilarious. Two, I think the messaging in it is the best messaging on any show you're going to get, about struggles, about life, about a lot of different things. It tackles so many different life situations. And one of the things that he said in something that always resonates with me, and I stick to it, it's that whatever you're doing, it's your fairy tale, right? You get to make it the way that you want. But understand that the actual course of a fairy tale, there's a lot of dark shit in it, right? So the beginning is all lovely. You get to introduce the hero. You see all these different things. And then all of a sudden that hero is going through a dark forest, right? And the dark forest has different challenges and different things. And then at the end of it, you've gotten through the dark forest, and now you get to kiss the princess, or you get the girl, or everything's happily ever after. That's the fairy tale. I think that for most of our lives, in our professional life, that we are in that dark forest. And right now I'm in that dark forest. And, understanding that helps me get through it on a daily basis. But, dude, whenever you become an entrepreneur, or you don't have a W-2 job or a T4 job, the pressure to provide for your family is very, very large. And your network only understands that if, like, your group of friends only understands it if they're in the same battles that you are. So if you're with a bunch of people that rely on somebody else's business to create a paycheck, then they're fine. They're but when you come home and you lay your head down at night, the struggles of where the money's coming from, where the finance is coming from, what I got to do here, what do I got to do here, it's large. And I think understanding that it's not always going to be like this, and the grass isn't greener on the other side. Like I said to my wife so many times, I wonder where we would be if we continued to just do small burrs, or small rental properties, and house flipping. Like, where would we be? Would we be where we're at? And some of those days I wish that we were still doing that. But then I wouldn't be where I am today. And that's where I go back to. It never works out how you want it to. It always works out how it's supposed to. And if I were to do that, John, I would have never met you. I would have never been a part of these other groups and never done these different things. And and I would have never leveled myself up. And, you know, being a coach and an athlete for so long, every year you have your goal built in for you, which is a championship, right? But as an entrepreneur, you gotta find that. You gotta build that. And I think somebody asked me a couple weeks ago, you know, very similar question to what you just asked. And I said, listen, man, I'm a coach. I'm not happy unless I'm miserable. And that is a true statement, right? I enjoy being a fixer. So working through these things and working with people and being able to kind of get over major humps is something that I truly enjoy. And I'm pulling myself out of the dark forest in the business, and we're looking forward to getting through that. But, you know, I wouldn't change it for the world. I say that now. Tomorrow may be a different story, but it truly, your experiences truly define who you are and how you react from them. And every day is a different fail. You have opportunities to grow, and there's different failures throughout the day that you need to capitalize on. So, yeah, I don't know if I answered that question. I kind of went off on a tangent, but no, that's kind of where I am.
No, you did. That's great. So what's your trophy and the end of the forest for you?
I think, like, success is different to everybody. I think a trophy for me is being able to not worry about where the next paycheck's coming from, right? Not worry about different things. And I think for me, you know, everybody says to me, Ben, you're never going to be able to retire. I'm like, you're right. I probably won't. But being able to say to my wife, you don't have to work. Like, let's go spend the day here, or let's take the kids out of school and do this and you know, do all these things. That's a trophy for me. You know, I don't need all the bells and whistles. I don't need a big house. I don't need fancy cars. I don't need toys. I just want to be able to spend the time with my family and be able to be that dad that's at every sporting event, or coaching my kids' sports, both of my kids equally getting time. Yeah, that's a trophy for me.
I love that. And I had Dan Pearson, you know, early on today on the podcast, and his number one thing was family, and it sounds the same for you. So I wanted to know, like, what is that reason for you? Like, why your family? And we had a conversation earlier about your brother, you being able to provide for that as well. Like, why is that your number one?
You know, there's a lot of people who've doubted what I'm doing and what we are doing, and it, you know, part of that is some of my family have probably doubted what we're doing, but it's, you know, family to me, like, when I look at my dad, he was a teacher. He grew up not very, like, didn't have a lot of money growing up. You know, there was 4 of them in a tiny house. And he changed his stars by going to university. He was the only first person in his family to go to university. Got a degree. Became quite prevalent in our community growing up. And I always admired that. And my mother, God, man, she's crazy. I love her to death. She's an inspiration. She, while raising 3 crazy boys in every single sport, she started out as a nurse. Then she went and got, because back in those days, you went to nursing school, you didn't get a degree. So she went and got a degree. Her water broke with my younger brother during an exam, something like that. Maybe just after or just before or whatever. So she wrote the exam, then went and gave birth. She's nuts. And then when we were in high school, she did her master's. And then when I was done high school, she ended up becoming a VP of a hospital. Worked her way up from that regard, and just seeing that and how much my parents put us first, and mainly my mother. My father was a father figure to a whole women's basketball team my whole life, right? 12 different girls every couple years viewed him as a father figure because they were up in Thunder Bay. They didn't, they came from Southern Ontario, a lot of them, and we had a family. And seeing that, I've always wanted that. And I had kids late. I didn't meet my wife until I was 35. And we had kids. My firstborn was in 2020 when I was 38, right? And so I had kids late, and I value that, and I know the relationship that I have with my parents, and I hope that my kids will have that with us. And man, at the end of the day, nobody cares about what you have, because you can't take it with you. And people talk about legacy. What do you want your legacy to be? My legacy is Grayson and Isaiah. And those are my two. I'm getting emotional thinking about it. But yeah, those are my boys, and I can't imagine life without them.
Yeah. I heard one of the fathers. He was a father of one of the famous NBA players. I can't recall his name, but the interview, he asked him, like, do you feel like your kids owes you something? Because like you help him, you train him, you make the time, you invested money, you put him into the right places, like you did everything for him to be in that position. And now when he's in that position, he said, do you feel like he owes you, to repay you for that? And he said, no, he doesn't owe me anything.
No.
Because it was it's our responsibility as parents to put the kids in that position. And it's our reflection, right? It is our reflection when we look at our kids. That's what we leave behind. It's them, right? And it's so true. I think, good parents, I'm truly blessed to have great parents as well. My parents divorced when I was younger, but I tend to live with both of them. 20 years with my mom, 20 years with my dad. So I kind of split half and half, and I learned from both of them, and I love both of them equally. And let me tell you, they were tough. There were tough moments, but what they taught me, it's something what made me the person I am today, right? So I'm really grateful for having good parents, and I want to be a good parent to my son as well. So I hear you on that. Now, what do you do in your professional work, right? As a real estate developer, what do you do that your competition don't or can't?
I think real estate development's an old boys network, and it's pretty cut and dry. We try to push the envelope, so we do certain things where we can create a 700 square feet out of 400 square feet at the push of a button. So those are some of the things. We partner with a group out of New York called Ori Living that we partner with them. It's a strategic partnership, and we're looking to kind of put up their system in our buildings, and really I just think it's researching different ways to build buildings and being open to the next technology. And I think that's important. I think, we're so up here in Canada, we're just going to build concrete, and we're just going to pour it like this, and we're going to do it like this, and we're going to do it like that. And this is how it's been done for the last 15, 20 years. And, and I'm like, well, listen, man, with technology coming through, there's a lot of opportunities. So we really kind of look at different technologies and how they can adapt in our construction phases, and how we can really start to save costs in those. Like, for example, we're not doing a basement, we're not doing underground parking. We do everything above grade with parking elevators / parking stackers, right? They save us probably, $10 to $12 million in excavation costs, because we don't have to dig, right? So those are kind of.
You mentioned the water too, right? So That's probably a smart too, because if there's underground water.
100%, right? So, those are things, and not only that, it saves time, and time is what like in a construction, like when you have to dig 4 levels of underground, you're 6 months in the dirt before you get under the ground, right? And so if you can save that's 6 months of carrying costs. So if you're carrying $10 million, or whether like $30-40 million at that point of a development, and it's 6 months carrying, well, that's an extra $2 or $3 million on your budget line, right? So we just try to kind of increase, and I'm a big believer of let's really strip our building down and redesign it multiple times. I'll spend a couple $100,000 on the design versus spending a couple million on errors on the other side. So I don't think it's anything new that people are doing, but I think this is what our mandate is. And I allow my guys to push the envelope. Like, what are you seeing out there as an architect that is different, right? Adding square footage on the balconies by encasing them. Okay, let's look at it. What's the cost? What's the benefit going to be, right? So, yeah.
I'm curious, with Ori from New York City, shout out to the Ori group, going from 400 to 700 square feet, is it utilizing the layout, better? Is it
so what happens
materials,
is, it's the layout, right? So at the push of a button, the bed will disappear into the ceiling. So if you have a bachelor, now you have, I got a living room where the bed isn't there. Like, what's the worst part of a hotel room? It's the bed. Once you wake up, people come in, you have a drink or two, whatever, they're lying on the bed, right? So that bed's gone. Your entertainment center at the push of a button turns into a home office. So now you basically get 3 rooms in one. You get a living room, a bedroom, and a home office. And with the new transient type of communities, people want to be able to work from home. They want to be able to travel. They want to be able to do these things, but they also want to know they have a safe space at home that is sexy and ready to go. So we're looking at a lot of those different things, and that's kind of how things roll.
That's awesome. And I mean, I love to see that more and more. It's certainly going on a little bit more, I think, in Europe. They're a little bit more advanced when it comes to those type of technologies. But how do you feel the people would actually adjust to it? Right.
I think like the generation below us will love it. And I think, listen, man, North America is the only culture who truly values space, right? Like, we want front yard, we want backyard, but the next generation, they don't want that. They don't want to deal with cutting grass, shoveling snow. They don't want that. They want to be able to lock, key, and I'm gone. Like, growing up, we never traveled anywhere. We didn't, very rarely did we go on a vacation or do anything. Like, playing 3 boys playing hockey in Thunder Bay was expensive, right? All of our vacations were around the tournament, and my dad coaching university girls basketball. All our stuff was revolving around sports.
Yeah.
Nowadays, our goal is to be able to take our kids across the world. Like, the world has changed. The demands on a family have changed. The demands and the wants of people, of individuals, have changed. Like, home ownership might not be the thing of the future. I want to be able to say, hey, I'm going to go, I rent this place, it costs me whatever, but I'm going to go to Mexico for a month because I can work from home, right? Or I can work from anywhere.
It's warmer over there in Canada in the winter.
That's right. So I think that, we're going to start to see a lot of people be okay with smaller spaces, right? And I think that's where we're kind of leading to.
And when you look at the cost of actually building those spaces per footage, it's probably a lot more expensive. But now you could say it's actually not 1 room, you actually have 3 rooms, so it's not 400 square feet, it's actually 700 square feet. So when you break it down, it's still probably cheaper than they would be buying 700 square feet apartment in reality, right?
That's very true. Correct.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, is there a book you would suggest for everyone to read?
Oh man, I got so many. It depends on what your flavor is, right? Like, if you're looking for
personal improvement, for entrepreneurs, real estate people.
I think that from a personal improvement reality, and the best book to start with if you're getting into real estate, just read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I mean, that, like, if that's what you want to do, if that's what you want to get into, then have a look at that. On the flip side of it, if you really want to be a better person and a better business person and a better individual, all encompassing, read Atomic Habits 2 or 3 times. Right? That's what I would say. Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's one of the greatest books, educational books of all time. It really teaches you how to build small habits and stack them on top of each other. And before you know it, you have changed your life, right? So it's cool. I encourage people also to get into some reflection on your days, on your wins, your losses throughout the day, and what to do the next day. Get a good nighttime routine, because that will help you to be productive the next day.
Yeah, I mean, would you say the nighttime routine is more important than the daytime, the morning routine?
I think they're equally as important. I think they go hand in hand. So I think that when you look at a morning routine, you can't have a strong morning routine without a good evening routine. So like when I refer to it back when I was coaching basketball, you know, our defensive philosophy flowed, it supported our offensive philosophy, right? So our offensive philosophy was we want to shoot 85 shots a game and score more points than the other team. So if we were to play a lot of help defense, we're out of position. Our guys are tired. We can't do what we want to do on that regard. So what we did is we created a defensive philosophy that was, we're going to stay in front of our guy. We're going to play no help, or we're going to, be in rebounding position so we can get out and run. Those two flowed together. And by the end of the season, they worked really well. And it's the same as a nighttime routine. Your nighttime routine's got to have you wind down. It's got to be able to be reflective so that you can get up and be productive right away. And I think it's important that you do both. People, want to be part of the 5 a.m. club, but you can't be consistently part of the 5 a.m. club if you're going to bed at 11 o'clock at night and not having a routine to start it in the morning.
Now, I love that. What is the most expensive lesson that you learned?
Oh, man. I think not vetting partnerships properly. I think that's the most expensive lesson. A partnership is like a marriage. It's a lot easier to get into than it is to get out of. And it cost me a lot of money. A couple times.
Any suggestions on screening your partners or
do a small deal with them first?
Okay. So start small before you do the big one?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, where can people find you?
Listen, I'm available. The easiest way is on Instagram at Coach Ben Julius. Follow me, message me. That's the best way to do it. If you want to reach out and talk, if you want to help with some reflection or whatever, I'm always there to chat and help. But yeah, that's the easiest way, to get to me. My email address is benjulius@lionheartdevelopment.co, but it's really easier just to hit me up on Instagram.
Yep. Amen to that. Now, Ben, one last question.
Yeah.
What's one capital truth that you live by?
I've said it before, and I'll say it again, that it's never as good as it seems, and it's never as bad as it seems. So just keep pushing forward and do one more.
Keep going.
That's it. Don't quit. Failure truly is only a failure when you stop, when you quit, right? So, and I always like to quote, the devil will every once in a while come up to your shoulder and whisper in your ear that you can't withstand the storm. I like to reply, motherfucker, I am the storm.
I love it.
Right? So, yeah.
That was awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate the time. I'm grateful for meeting you. And that's a wrap on this episode of Capital Truths, the Unscripted journeys of those who fund the future. If something sparked your thinking today, don't keep it to yourself. Share the episode, leave a comment, and keep the momentum going. Money is just a tool. Clarity is the game. Stay curious, stay bold, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.